Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of my Apex funded futures account journey. So this was a video that I made 3 or 4 days ago now, so I'm pretty new to this. This is really my first venture into these Apex funded future accounts. I saw them becoming more and more popular over the last 6 months, and so I finally gave in and decided to get one and give it a try. So like I said in this post on my Facebook group, if you want to join the Facebook group, by the way, there'll be a link in the description below. You can come and check it out. It's basically just me talking about different alert services and people giving their own opinions and things. Anyway, this post was on March 4th. It's currently March 7th, so 3 or 4 days now I've had this Apex funded account. It's not actually funded though, so I'll talk a bit briefly about that. So you start off basically with a valuation account. So basically you're given fake paper money, so $100,000 is the one that I have, and you have certain rules which you've got to follow, and if you can build that up by only 6%, so you have to take that $100,000 account to $106,000, then they actually give you real money, the $100,000 to trade with. Obviously you can't just take out the $100,000, right? That's not how these things work. You get to trade with that money, and any money that you make from that you get to keep and withdraw as real money. So that's sometimes a bit of confusion about what people mean by these funded accounts, and that's the basic essence of it right there. So you get given an evaluation account. Here is the Apex website, so you can go into here and you can see the different options that you have. There's different costs for these things. Included is a NinjaTrader license, so that's what I'll be showing you in a few minutes. I went for the $100,000 full account here, starting capital. It means that you have to have a profit goal to get funded of $6,000, and there's a trailing threshold of $3,000, and the devil's in the details. That's where the difficulty starts to come, is you can't have anything that drops below $3,000, but it's a little bit more complex than that as I'm learning. Luckily, the way I'm trading so far, I'm not being really put off by this $3,000 trailing threshold at all. Things are actually going really well, and that's partly due to the strategy I'm using. It's quite conservative. It's a scalping strategy, which we'll talk a little bit about as well. So anyway, you sign up for this thing. They had an 80% discount sale recently, so you can find that. They run them probably every week or two. They run 80% off, so instead of $200 a month, you end up paying like $30 a month for something like this. So you can get a whole bunch of different ranges of things. You can go up to 300,000 in capital here, which is pretty amazing. I've heard that the $50,000 one is the optimal, so the trailing threshold is still large, so you still have that room for a drawdown, because what happens if you hit this trailing threshold, they liquidate your account and you actually have to pay or buy another one to get going again, so you have to be really careful. So you can see that the 50,000 one is actually pretty good because your profit target's only 3,000 and the trailing threshold is still 2,500 as opposed to 3,000, which is what I have on the 100k capital account. So I think that was some advice I got recently, is that the 50,000 might actually be worth it. It's also cheaper to buy as well, so that might be worth considering if you're looking at this. The 25,000 might not be enough, but apparently 50,000 is optimal, so that's kind of like the golden nugget for if you're thinking about starting one of these funded accounts. Now, until recently, the last week, I hadn't traded futures at all, so I didn't even really understand how they worked. So I'm really enjoying learning about the process of how futures work, with how much money you make per point or tick that's moved, with the different instruments. So it's been really fun so far. I've started to build the account, so like I said, it's been 3 or 4 days. And this is my account at the moment. So you get set up with NinjaTrader, which I quite like. I've not really tested the other stuff out right yet, so Apex and NinjaTrader seem to work just fine for me. You can see there's 2 accounts here. One's a simulation account, one's the actual evaluation account, and you can see the current balance is $100,571.51. Obviously it started at 100,000, so this is minus all the fees and everything that they take out, like simulated fees. And so you can see I've made $571 in the last 3 days trading this. And remember, you have to trade a minimum of 7 days in order to qualify to turn this into a real funded account. So you're trading with somebody else's money, prop account. And so you can't do it too quickly though, because this trailing down thing, if I suddenly lost $3,000 in the trade, say I decided to go, take half of this and go in hard and take a trade tomorrow, and I had a sudden $3,000 drawdown, which isn't that hard to do. A lot of people get stopped out with this thing. This would immediately become invalid. I'd be forced to buy or reset this account for about $85, which obviously I don't want to do. So I'm trying to trade conservatively, but not take forever to build this up to 106,000. So in 3 days, 571 bucks. I think that's pretty reasonable. I think at this rate, that would be probably a few weeks before I can get to this 106,000, as long as I don't do anything really stupid, so I gotta really be careful. The way I'm doing this, and this is something you should definitely consider if you're going this route, is to say, well, what is your trading strategy here? And the one I'm using is actually inside Sidekick Traders Discord. I founded in 2020. I've done a few videos recently about this, but we're basically scalping SPX. And for you guys that know about futures, you know that ES is tied to SPX, and so you can go to the ES charts and trade using this interface here. So when Sir Goldman in the Sidekick Traders Discord alerts an SPX scalp, all I've been doing is buying ES, or you can even do MES, and then taking the trade that way. So today I just did a video showing that he had like a 400% winner, I think shown here. And so I got a small portion of that on my funded or evaluation. You got to be careful, it's not funded yet. My evaluation Apex trader account, and was able to make a few $100s pretty quickly. So far I'm really enjoying this. I think the scalping aspect, as long as you take profits quickly, it won't mess up your account. So you'll end up with this spike, but you get out. And the reason that that's important is if we go and look at the Rithmic software part of this. So this is the part that you can use to look at your trailing stop and things on here. I'll show that really quickly. I don't think I covered this in part 1 very much. See if we can get in here. Sometimes this is a little finicky. Alright, so you can see here, hopefully you can see what it says here. So it's active. Here's the account balance. This auto liquidate threshold changes. So if my account spikes, say I make $5,000 unrealized, the scary thing is that this liquidation threshold would then rise and stay $5,000 higher. So I'd have to take that $5,000 profit, because if it dropped and I didn't take it, and I took it much lower down, the gap between my trailing threshold where I get stopped out and I get forced to buy an account, reset it's called, would become much smaller. So if you have profits, this number here, so this number started at 97,000, which is 100,000 minus 3,000. But because I've made some profits, it rises with it. So now I can't drop below $97,611, or I'll get auto liquidated and have to buy an account, reset it for $85. So that's what people mean when they say they failed or blew up an evaluation account, is that this threshold starts to rise as you start to make profit, but then if you take a huge loss, even if it's unrealized, then you end up having to auto liquidate. So you've got to be really careful. You've got to take profits when you have them, because if you don't, you end up having this problem where the gap between your balance, so this is the balance on the right here, and the auto liquidate threshold, or where you'll blow up your account, gets smaller and smaller and smaller until you can't afford to take any drawdown whatsoever on a trade, and then you're kind of screwed and you have to start all over. And that's where they get you. So that's where you've got to learn how to trade. If you can't already trade a good strategy, you've got to learn how to trade one well, and the one that works for these particular tight rules. Now there's a whole section of rules, and there's Facebook groups dedicated to how to do this and different strategies and things. I'm just telling you the one I've been using that works really well and has worked. So I've consistently scalped these on SPX, so there's really no reason I can't do it on a funded or evaluation account on the funded futures using ES. So that's what I'm doing. If you want to try that too, we still have a 7-day trial going on to come and join us. There's a few of us doing this. It's a lot of fun. You should definitely try it, and hopefully this is helpful. So far so good. 3 or 4 days into my funded futures trading challenge, and up $571. So fairly excited about that. Let's try and keep it consistent. I'll keep updating you guys, and I'll talk to you soon.